character design, but the question is, do you think is the most overpowered hero you've ever created?
What's the most overpowered hero you've ever created?
Overpowered? You mean who has the most power?
Too much power.
Too much power, maybe.
There ain't no such thing as... I don't know. I never thought about it. We have some very powerful ones. You got the Hulk, you got Galactus. I think the Hulk wishes he had more power, and so does Galactus. No, there's no such thing as too much power.
Nice. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks. Mr. Lee, your wife was the voice of Madam Web on the Spider-Man animated series. Is that the way she talks in real life? Is that something she put on?
My wife was the voice of Madam Web on the Spider series.
She's English, and she had, the most beautiful voice. She sounded like Greer Garson, whom none of you remember. No, she's got a gorgeous voice.
So that's not, she doesn't scare people when she talks like that?
She doesn't scare people when she talks?
Well, sometimes she scares me, because I'm able to say, can I go to Neiman Marcus and go shopping? And that's terrifying.
Next question.
I want to be a writer, and I have 2 questions for you.
One question.
Okay. Well, when you were writing comics from 1960 to 1970, and you had all your heroes, how did you come up with a new villain for each issue?
As you were writing comics in the 60s and 70s, how did you come up with villains for your comics? New villains for the fresh?
A lot of times I just thought of names of animals. Octopus, lizard. I don't know. I really wish I could answer that intelligently. But I don't know. I would sit down and think, I have a hero who can do this. I have to find a villain who can do things that might really threaten the hero.
Like Scorpion,
so the hero would have a
Spider-Man.
tough time defeating the villain. And, you keep thinking, and you come up with something like Dr. Doom or the Vulture. I can't even remember all of our villains.
All right. Animals. All right. Next question.
No more questions. Goodbye.
All right. Just look up at it and talk.
If you were to write anything but comics, what would you write about?
If you were going to write anything other than comic books, what would you write?
Well, probably a television series or a movie. In fact, I'm working on some now, but they're a long way off. But anything that has to do with pictures and words. Like a movie, you see the pictures and you hear the words. I always thought when I was a kid I'd write the great American novel, but I don't think I'd like to write a novel because it's just words. And I'm so used to looking at pictures while the words are there. So it would be anything that has to do with pictures and words.
All right, good question. Next.
Hi, I was just wondering, how did you come up with the idea of the X-Men?
How did you come up with the idea of the X-Men?
I read that book the guy I had already done a few others, and they were selling well, and my publisher said, come on, dream up a new book for me. So I was thinking, I had run out of ways for characters to get superpowers. Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider. Daredevil, I think there were gamma rays that he was exposed to. No, the Hulk. Gamma rays. And the Fantastic Four had cosmic rays. I had run out of rays. So I finally took the cowardly way out, and I said, wait a minute. What if I have a group of heroes who were just born with that power? Then I wouldn't have to explain anything. They were just born mutants. And that's really the way I thought of the X-Men. So I went running into my publisher, and I said, I got the idea for you. I told him, he liked it, and I said, I'm going to call it The Mutants. He said, that is the worst title. He said, nobody knows. He had great respect for our readers. He said, nobody will know what a mutant is. So he was paying my salary. I had to do what he said. So I thought, I'll dream up another title. And then I thought, well, they have extra power. And I remembered I had created a character called Professor Xavier to be the head of the group. Extra power, Xavier. Just for fun, I said, I'll call them the X-Men. Ran into my publisher, how about the X-Men? Great title. And as I walked out, I thought, if I couldn't figure out how bosses think, if nobody would know what a mutant was, how would anybody know what an X-Men is? He okayed the title, and I was happy with it, and that's how it happened.
Thank you.
We have time for about 2 or 3 more questions.
No, I got time.
You're the boss. Max is making faces.
I ain't got time.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering, who was your favorite artist to work with?
My favorite one?
Do you have a favorite artist to work with?
They were all so good. I probably did more work in the beginning with Jack Kirby than anybody. He was wonderful. Ditko was wonderful doing Spidey and Doctor Strange. But John Romita was terrific. He could take over any script and make it successful. He took over Spider-Man when Ditko left. He did a wonderful job. John Buscema was a fantastic artist. Gene Colan, Bob Kane. I mean, I could keep naming them. I was the luckiest guy in the world. Whatever I wrote, they drew it so beautifully that it looked good and I get all the credit.
All right, let's go one more.
Hi, Stan. When Hollywood gets smart and comes calling to do the story of Marvel Comics, who would you like to see cast to play you?
When Marvel does when a movie does the story of Marvel Comics on the big screen, who's going to play Stan Lee?
Brad Pitt.
He said Brad Pitt.
Yeah, either Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. No, they're not good looking enough.
He's so modest.
It'll probably be some funny looking comedian. I have no idea.
What about Bobby De Niro?
Bobby De Niro? Robert De Niro?
He's not bad.
Thank you.
I'd settle for anybody.
One more and then we're done, folks. I'm sorry, guys, if you're in line, I apologize. Go
Hi,
ahead, you're
Mr.
it.
Lee. I'm a very, very new comic reader. I'm a very big fan of Captain America, and I was wondering what brought about him coming back to the Marvel Universe in Avengers 4.
What caused you to bring Captain America back?
That's a good question. I had all our other characters, and I had always liked Captain America. And I wanted one guy without any powers that were too super. And I remembered that when I was younger, I read Captain America, and I liked him. And I said, but he's dead. How can I bring him back? Then I figured, okay, he was in a plane, it crashed in the north, and it got into a glacier, and he was frozen for 20 or 30 years. So I thought, I'm going to bring him back, but then I had to think of a personality to give him. The only thing I didn't like about him, he never really had a personality. He just fought the bad guys. So I thought, I'll bring him back to life years later, and I'll let him feel as though he's something of an anachronism. Suddenly he's in an age where there are hippies and rock music and protest marches and all the stuff that was going on in the 60s. And he's not used to it, and he doesn't understand it. And I remember there was one line I wrote for him where he said, maybe I should have questioned more and battled less. And I wanted to make him an interesting kind of confused guy, but who always tries to do the right thing. And as we started using him, I got to like him more and more. So I put him in the Avengers, and now in the movies he's like the leader of the Avengers. And it's amazing how that happened, because he had been a character we had forgotten, thinking he's too patriotic, too corny. And now he's become popular, and that probably proves something, and I don't have any idea what it is. Hey, the next time we have one of these, let's make it so that it could be for the whole afternoon. I hate to think there are people with questions that don't get answered.
We'll make
So
it
let's
happen.
fix the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, St. Louis, I give you Stan Lee.